Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. My name is Emma, and I've got Andreas with me, and we're going to be talking about the idea of community of multipliers as it applies to the world of AI and other emerging technologies. But before I get to all the questions I've got for you, can you do an introduction, please?
Thank you so much for having me, Emma. Great to be on the show. My name is Andreas Welch. I'm an AI strategy advisor. I am a podcast host of the popular show What's the Buzz? And I'm a newly minted author of the AI Leadership Handbook. And I'm really passionate about helping leaders in AI and automation roles learn and understand where and how can you use AI and how do you do that successfully in business so you can turn all of that hype into tangible business outcomes. I spent the last 23 years in the software industry at SAP, one of the leaders in enterprise applications, and have held many roles around machine learning, AI, working with large Fortune 500s, building a center of excellence in the engineering organization to bring more AI into core products that finance and procurement and sales teams use, and have helped the market also understand as a customer, what can you actually do with AI? So bringing all of that now into engagements with clients who have questions on these topics. Where should we start with AI? Because everybody tells me we need to do this, and this is really, really important. So again, excited to be on the show.
Well, thank you for joining me. Before we get started, I need you to stand up just a little so everyone can see the coordinated shirt too, along with the book cover. Everything's on brand. So I got to point that out before we dive in.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I mentioned this idea, and we're going to get to a little bit of the where do I start conversation when it comes to AI. But I'm a people girl at heart, and everybody knows that. So I'm going to start with this question that I teased earlier of what is a community of multipliers, just to kind of get us started with this concept.
So one of the big learnings and realizations for me personally in my role previously, as well as in many conversations with AI leaders, has been that you cannot go at this alone. Right? You need to have multipliers, need to have advocates in the business, in different business functions who are knowledgeable about AI, who become more knowledgeable because of you and because of your teams, and who can, assess where and how can we use AI to make our operations better, to look for new ways how we engage with customers, all these kind of things, but who are also a sounding board for you and can bring these ideas back to you and your teams. So really the idea is to have advocates that can spread the word about AI, its positive impact and effect, and also bring back ideas to you so you're relevant and you work on relevant ideas for the business.
So it's starting the movement and letting it multiply across your people by really getting people that are excited right alongside you and getting that buy-in, essentially.
Absolutely.
So when we look at things like AI, and I'm sure in 2-3 years, we'll have all sorts of other buzz terms of emerging technology that we're talking about as well. And it'll probably be under the umbrella of AI. But when we look at the importance of something like a community of multipliers when it comes to AI adoption and rolling out new technologies in your company, why is this idea so important?
Look, I think there's a lot of concern also in the workforce, in the teams that you are leading, that you are working with, that, hey, AI is coming for my job. When I think in many cases, the reality is it's coming to your job. So it's a matter of building this trust, building this awareness of what can I actually use this for? How does it work? Also knowing, what are the opportunities, what are some of the challenges with these new tools? I mean, think back even 3 years before ChatGPT, having this little disclaimer at the bottom of your software saying this might occasionally spit out some information that might be incorrect or might not be what our values are as a provider, that would have been unheard of and unthinkable. So knowing that you work with it like an assistant, you guide it, you have more of this iterative approach. If you think about things like generative AI, really giving this guidance how to use these tools and take away some of those concerns and some of that fear and make it really tangible and useful. That's why I think communities of multipliers can help you do that and again spread the word in their business teams about where this adds a real tangible value.
So you just used this phrase that AI isn't coming for your job, but it's coming to your job. And I love that because it's adoption of a tool that makes you better at your job, not something that's going to take away the human element. But I think that this lines up really nicely as a segue to talk about our last question that you teased in your introduction, of a little bit of like where to start. And I think that this idea of removing fear becomes easier when we start with a business problem, as opposed to starting with a shiny object and using the shiny object that has fear around it. If it's attached to business value, it's easier to get people to understand how it's being used as a tool. So can you talk a little bit more about this idea of starting with business value as the first step of any AI implementation?
I think this is absolutely critical at this time in the adoption cycle, if you will. Many people have experimented with AI, with generative AI over the last 2 years, right? Many of us have it on their phones, the apps like ChatGPT and Claude and others. So it's very accessible, very practical in many senses. But it's a bit of a gift and a curse, because if you talk to your senior leadership, they know it's imminent. We need to do something about it. Can you go figure this out? What can we do with generative AI? Where can we use it? Where can we apply it? And I've seen that that's not always the best way to start this. So indeed, you should start with the business impact and the business value question. And to me, that means, what are we trying to achieve as a business to begin with? What is our strategy? What are our main KPIs that we want to achieve this year? Is it, on one hand, revenue growth or expansion into new markets, launching new products, and then understanding how does AI help us actually support these goals and achieve these goals? Now, that's for me also the connect to this multiplier community, because people doing the work day in and day out, being in procurement, being in finance, being in sales, they know where the issues are in that process. Right? For them, it's a lived experience. So if you can get them to work with you and to trust you, they are really, really good sources of information of where to start with business value. What is the impact that we can have if we bring AI to this business function? Right? Whether it's in customer service, using AI to automatically analyze incoming service requests and tickets. What is this about? How should I maybe even respond to this? Are there other issues related to this ticket that I'm getting? What is maybe the tone that I should be using? Is it even something that I can solve as an agent, or do I need to route this to the second level, third level person? If I call back, maybe there's a call script that can be adapted based on the topics that the customer has. So really more for guidance, for assistance, these type of things. And you'll see, for example, in this case, customer service agents be able to help funnel this information back to your team. And that's, again, to me, that's where it starts with business value. For example, improving your net promoter score could be one of the things, or reducing your customer wait time, or getting an answer, or improving the quality of the answers and the feedback that customers leave, right? Instead of 3 stars, get 5 stars. What would it take us to get there, and how can AI help us? That's what it means, in my opinion.
So I've got one last question for you. Where can people get their little grubby hands on this book?
This one, you mean?
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
So perfectly placed.
Right. So that's available on Amazon, both as a Kindle ebook as well as a paperback. So make sure you do get your copy. It covers the 9 aspects of successful AI leadership, in addition to technology. So there's a whole chapter on communities of multipliers, there's a whole chapter on business value, and putting this into an idea funnel, and many, many more things that are key to successful AI leadership.
And I'm not quite as quick on the draw, but you can see there's my Kindle version in between the kids' books that my daughters
Yes.
always have me read. I've got my copy. Everyone can read it alongside me. But thank you so much for joining me for the conversation, and for everybody for watching. If you're not already, make sure you go follow him so that you get all of this goodness on your LinkedIn feed as well. But thank you again for joining me, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. If you like what you saw, be sure to come back on a weekly basis and subscribe for more expert interviews focused on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.